Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 2. We are back here at the Overheard studio in Banff. It is Tuesday, February the 6th, 2024. How you doing today, Matt?
Not too bad. How was your day?
Doing great. Once again, my name is Dan. My day was pretty good. Sorry, a little confusion there to start. My day was good. Went snowboarding, went chilling up at Sunshine Village today. Weather much better than it has been. How's your week? What have you been up to?
I was sick for most of the week, so I kind of just chilled with a cat. But other than that, man, I had a DJ set earlier this week. Kind of hung out, the usual,
Nice.
jazz.
Where are you DJing these days?
In VR.
DJing in VR. How does that work?
Oh God. You basically run your DJ gear, kind of like we're doing right now,
Okay.
and yeah, it's like a big party, man. In VR, I guess it's weird, but it's fun.
Right on. If anyone's into any weird parties, go check out Matt in VR DJing.
Oh, God.
I'm sure that'll be a good time. Got to give Matt a big shout out as well on the new look. You guys might notice we got a bit of a new look going on. We've made some adjustments. We've taken some notes from episode 1.
We did.
Big thanks to you, Matt, for putting these new looks
Appreciate
in.
it, buddy.
Looking great. Right on. Should we move into some meat and potatoes here for
You want
vegetarians?
to get it
Some
going?
Chickpeas and lentils.
Let's go. We got any first time streamers? Let's get it in the chat there, guys.
Yeah, is there anybody in the chat?
got.
Big shout out to the chat. Anyone joining us for the first time this week? Any returning guests? What's going on?
Alrighty, let's get into some stuff. What do we got this week for entertainment?
So we definitely have some posts from Overheard. First one, a community style post. So the town wants your feedback on the proposal for future development of the railway lands. It's on private land, but it proposes public benefits such as adding more parking. Illustration is north of the track. So you can see that little image we have down there is a kind of simulated parking lot that would be opposite of where the current one is. It's going to have some celebrating heritage attractions, a welcome plaza, and amenities for arriving visitors. So they're putting on a workshop on February 20th to learn more and to give your feedback. You can go be part of that process.
What do you think of this?
I don't know. I don't know that adding more parking lot and taking away more green space is the answer. Again, like that's a pretty big bottleneck spot already. That's where the rec grounds are. So that would be from the Fenlands rec grounds to the train line. Right. Which would then make the only way to pass.
So is that across from the Fenlands where the loop is?
Not where the loop is.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think it's going to be across there. I
Okay,
think
okay.
that's still going to be untouched. Again, if you want to learn more, go and join this this workshop that they have. I'm pretty sure if you can tell by the image there that it's going to be like from the rec center to the train yards, kind of that block.
Oh, right,
I
right.
guess it would
Oh, in
be.
between. That's
Like
where the creek and the corridor is?
I think so. I think
What?
that's kind of the plan. I think maybe the creek goes up the north side of the Fenlands, but I'm not 100% sure.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
where they're okay. I didn't know they were proposing it through that section, but
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys want your voices heard on an early edition of that. You can go check them out February 20th. You can register through that link there. So you can find that on Overheard in Banff or on the Town of Banff Facebook page. You can always find that readily available. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. Did we already have a 700 car parking lot out there that I never really see full in the summer?
Very true. I live right there. It's not often full.
No, and I mean that's kind of what that was for, to kind of funnel people into there to get them to walk downtown. Or yeah, it's only like what, 2 blocks to
I'd
IGA?
say 2 blocks. Yeah.
2 blocks to IGA, I guess.
2 blocks to the IGA, especially if you
But
go through the school zone there.
I don't know. I don't know if that's the answer.
Anyways, we can go and give our opinion about it at least. Let's, if you have a strong opinion about it, go let your voice be heard February 20th.
Let us know, guys, how you're feeling about that as well. If you're up in the chat, like it's just another thing that's on the board for Banff, that we just keep having more and more of this. Something around that train station has got to go on. It's like, I don't understand it, but
I don't know. I think it's been recently purchased, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're just trying to do something with that space, maybe trying to get people away from the main downtown. Who knows? I thought the downtown was kind of what it was meant to be there for, but
I don't know. I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it anyways, but
fair enough. You can go have your voice heard February 20th.
Let's go. All right, let's keep it rolling along here. What do we got next?
Next slide. Bit of an interesting one. You want to take us through this one?
Oh God, yeah. This is pretty crazy. It says around midnight, a man, they gave a description, was banging on our door. When we answered, the door was already opened. He claimed that he was looking for his 18-year-old daughter. We told him to leave. He got in the car with another man and drove away. Police were notified. Looks like it was down on Squirrel somewhere. And then obviously first comment, scary, but this is a new one I have not seen. This is pretty.
Yeah, I don't know. Seems either like a case of mistaken house or an intricate ruse, but either way, something to keep in mind if you're awake or asleep late night, to just lock those doors.
Keep them locked. Like I know when I moved here 10 years ago, it might have been a little different. You could leave your doors unlocked. You could chuck your bike downtown, maybe not have somebody walk off with it, but it seems like the last little bit has been a little different anyways.
Yeah, I want to say the last 5 years.
There's been like just the odd, weird thing going on. It's
the first apartment that I rented here in this town, actually, that wasn't a closet. We actually didn't even get a key. You kind of paid money, you moved in, and I thought it was a little bit strange.
That was it?
I asked the landlord, or the guy who's running the property, won't name any names, but still lives here to this day. Big shout out. He's like, yeah, no, like we don't have any keys. There's usually at least one person home. And I mean, between like 8 people, there was like,
that's crazy.
4 on the one unit, 4 in the other unit. There was always someone home and nothing ever happened. We never had any unwanted guests. Maybe one night someone would have stumbled in a little drunk, but
I've heard stories of it. You know, you move to town and you don't know where you're going. You leave the bar blackout drunk and you just walk into somebody's house and go to sleep on their couch. I've heard.
Yeah, I've looks heard like a little bit more than that.
Oh, big time. This is something going on. But
so if you're new to town, or if you've been in town forever like us, and you just get a little complacent with security sometimes, make sure you keep those doors locked.
No doubt.
A few of the comments here. Unfortunately, this type of incident is becoming more common. I think it's a part of a larger conversation that the systems and governing bodies we have to have in place in this community are no longer relevant to the current situation. What do you think about that? I think paraphrasing, it's kind of like we don't really have much police presence on the streets. Like, you'll see them every now and again walking through the bars, but
yeah, I mean, you'll see them at Rhodes and Crown, you see them at Mel's walking around, but I mean, other than that, like day to day,
yeah, I don't know.
But I guess now that you put it that way, the only time I really see them is out on in the summer they'll chill down on was it Caribou and right on the main
Kitty
intersection
Corner,
there.
I believe it's called.
Yeah. They'll chill down there and they'll have a couple cruisers down there, but that's at night for the bars. I get that, but during the day, like I don't think I've ever seen a foot patrol officer kind of cruising around.
True. I mean, we are a pretty low crime
Oh yeah, big
community,
time.
but I mean, these things do happen. Back to these little comments here that we have a culture in Banff of turning a blind eye or sweeping things under the rug or being dismissive of the issue. I think that's another part of the conversation for sure. That being a tourist town, obviously,
For
these
sure.
things don't really want to be brought to the
Well, there's
forefront.
not like the amount of weird stuff that happens here that nobody hears about unless a buddy tells you about it, and then
True.
you go to look it up online or you go to look it up in the paper. There's nothing about it. They're not going to publish drama from inside the most beautiful place on the planet. Like,
Fair enough. Fair
I
enough.
understand that is a marketing scheme that's not smart on anybody's part, but
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of that small town mentality where we kind of just like we deal with it here and then that's it. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I
I
guess.
think is what it is.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Again, answer to those questions. More police presence, maybe a couple. I know that the town of Banff is kind of like I've been told, at least I don't know this for a fact, but I've been told that it's kind of a training ground, that we don't have consistent police here.
I think that's in the next comment here.
Yeah, I believe there's a comment
I
that
thought there was one. No, that was the original. I think I have one here.
we do have one that mentions that it's kind of like a training ground for the police. So, we're basically getting people here that are not trained. Well, maybe training, but they're only here for a short period of time.
One of the comments here, someone touched on that, said, that being said, a lot of the cops that are here are only here for a few years. Even if community policing is a priority to an individual officer there and they're regularly walking the streets, getting the locals, etc., they're simply not here long enough to get to know this community in most cases. I mean, that goes back to what you said. And I've heard that as well. I've heard it's kind of a landing spot for the RCMP. You come to Banff, you're not going to be doing high speed chases and
True.
I mean,
Armed robberies and stuff.
Yeah, it's not your local big city crime for the most part. So I think that's kind of what they're getting at here is, yeah, most of them aren't here. You're not, I've never seen an officer here for the whole time that I've been here.
It's kind of funny that the policing seems to follow the population in the sense that we're a pretty transient population. Like people are coming and going all the time.
Exactly, yeah.
And it seems that the police are kind of doing that as well. I think it would be nice to see some maybe longer term police presence here in the town of Banff. Like, I know there's like a lot. They try to do community involvement. There is a day where you can go and talk to them at the McDonald's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
like
I don't
a police
know.
engagement, like community engagement.
Like it's like come and talk to us at the
cool.
McDonald's. So that's something we might have to do. Maybe do some little digging, see if they do have kind of a more long term program or.
That might be something cool to look into.
Yeah, absolutely. So stay tuned. We might have some more on this as the episodes roll through. But again, I think the moral of showing this post was just a little service announcement for everyone to watch out, especially on the weekends. I feel it's a lot more crazies running around.
Yeah, we got a few
Saturday
out-of-towners in, and it just gets weird sometimes on the weekends. It just, for lack of a better word, it just gets weird. You go downtown, you just see extra weird shit happening out in front of the bars. And
well, I feel like Bow Valley in the summertime too, like in relation to like bike thefts and stuff, I feel like we're kind of seen as an easy target here. Kind of the the well-off people that are living in the mountains got a lot of fancy toys to come and rob and probably don't lock their doors.
Well, exactly, no doubt.
So yeah, I don't know if that's something to keep in mind, especially on the weekends. Lock those doors, people. We want everybody safe to join us next Tuesday.
Well, and kind of moving along with that, this next post here, Dan, if you wanted to chuck that one.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is one that we found. Again, we're blurring the names and stuff to try and keep the people involved kind of out of it. But this one says, just wanted to thank the 3 girls who stole my purse from the Canmore Hotel, who were kind enough to only steal my money, but had the decency to turn it in to Bella Cruz, which is, I want to say, another business in Canmore. The owner was able to track me down and return it. Big props to the owner of Bella Cruz for doing the noble deed of returning the wallet. Rumor had it you were in a hurry to catch the bus back to Banff, hoping you're local so I can bump into you and personally thank you. After all, your faces are caught on camera. I think another service announcement to the community here, that if you're going to be doing stuff like this, you're probably going to get caught in this small town.
It's like I said, the classic thing. Somebody will steal your bike. You'll see them riding it down Banff Ave tomorrow afternoon.
That's it.
the town's too small to be doing stuff like that.
So, I mean, at least this person
Ugh.
got their important stuff back, being the cards, the IDs. That's always the worst. But again,
exactly.
don't be going around the bars
That's just
stealing
petty,
from people.
though. That's just petty. And like they probably just went and bought more drinks with it, doing something stupid.
Yeah, I mean, if you need money that bad, you probably shouldn't be in a bar anyways. But hey,
Oh, I love the comments though. Post them. Like,
yeah,
post
definitely.
the pictures.
Like if you have
who was it?
screenshots.
Pump used to do that when
Oh,
what was it? It's always at Christmas. They put up all the Christmas decorations at the pump down at the bottom of the stairs there, and then people just walk off with them.
big shout out to John Squirrel
Oh,
for
God,
exposing these people, and he'll put him up.
God, yeah.
He'll blast them on Facebook and be
Oh,
like,
it's great.
"Return."
Oh yeah,
return our decorations,
Yeah, or
and we'll
you're
take
gone,
your
yeah.
post down. And it's,
I
it's
bet it
pretty
works.
funny.
I bet it works.
It's a little public shaming. If we do have some pics or anything does come to light, please send them to the Overheard podcast.
Please let us know. Please send them over.
Blast this person.
We'll blast them.
Again, small town vibe. If you're just moving here, if you've been here a short period of time, long period of time, a lot more cameras around town than when I first moved here as well. You're gonna get nabbed, you know.
True.
Jackets from the Rose. I remember it used to be jackets from the Gap used to go missing. Like,
jackets from Gap, jackets from Bruno's as
so,
well.
I mean-
I personally lost a really nice pea coat at Bruno's.
So yeah, people
I went
are
out for a
there.
smoke and I came back in and it was gone. Yeah. It was like, and you know me, I'm a kitchen guy. I can have a smoke in like 4 minutes, right? So
yeah, it's
I was talking pretty hard out there. It was cold. I was in my sweater. I go back in, gone.
It's not a long smoke for sure. So yeah, keep in mind out there, people are out there nabbing stuff from the bars. Keep an eye on your belongings. And again, big shout out to the owner of Bella Cruz for turning in the purse and the valuables.
At least there's still some good people out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, if you're doing good deeds in the community, that will be big karma to you, just like it says on the end there.
No doubt.
You find something on the ground, Overheard in Banff, great place to post it.
Oh yeah.
Which brings me to my next point. If you're following us from somewhere else, which isn't Banff, and you don't follow the Overheard in Banff page, go and give them a follow.
Yeah.
What do we got next here?
Oh God, I like this one. This one just gets me. The Snow Days Festival update. So this was last week. Obviously, all the sculptures and everything that was up on Banff or on Bear Street didn't make it too well. So obviously here, due to the warm weather that we had this week, the snow sculptures in Play Zone in Banff and ice sculptures in Lake Louise have sadly melted beyond repair. Those visiting this week, there will still be live entertainment on Bear Street from Thursday to Sunday as part of the Snow Days Festival. And then a little blurb about there's still lots of stuff to do, ski resorts.
Yeah, I don't know if I walked through at a weird time, but I walked by Saturday, I want to say middle of the day, and there was nothing going on, just a closed Bear Street and a lot of rain.
How long were they up for? It was only...
I don't know.
2
They
or
didn't
3
last too
days.
long. I think they built the blocks at the tail end of that really cold weather, because I remember bumping into some Town of Banff workers. Big shout out to them that were clearing Bear Street with hand chisels.
Oh God.
Yeah, props to them. That looked like a pretty tedious
Well,
job.
somebody actually got a good shot, I think, mid transition here of the snow sculptures from solid to liquid, and
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to say about it other than
Bit of a phallic image. Who knows what that was? Maybe it was
it originally was a very immaculate sculpture of something
For sure, they were
completely
beautiful.
non-related, I can guarantee, but
We will tell you that they were immaculate before they were out, before the heat came. I heard that they were $10,000 a piece, though. That's
$10K a piece
again
for like
that's
3
not-
days.
That's not a research fact. That's just that's just
no.
what I heard. I heard people
If anybody
whispering
knows,
around.
hit us up and let us know how much that actually.
Yeah, I heard
that went for.
$10,000 a piece for the
How many of them
snow.
were there? There was a few.
And they get the snow from around town and they pack them into box. And then some of the snow is trucked in from Fortress, apparently,
Oh,
which is
why would you truck snow into a national park in the mountains?
I don't know. Again, this is all rumor. This is all stuff that I've heard or hearsay.
I guess.
But yeah, it seems like a bit of an expensive endeavor for something that there's a lot of right on our doorstep. But hey, who knows? Who knows? Maybe it's got to be a specific texture, specific elevation.
It's probably for the carving.
Who
You know, the
knows?
ice sculptures are and stuff like that. They got to make special ice.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, they do. It's
So-
some process to keep all the bubbles out of it. It's something crazy. I don't know what it is.
I guess we'll keep it at that. I don't know. It's probably due to yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Some of the comments were pretty ruthless on that one too. People were
do we
like,
want to introduce our guest?
the guest? Oh, the guest today. Absolutely. How could we forget? Our guest today, we have a pre-recorded interview. I know a lot of you love this live content that we provide for you. unfortunately, our guest could not make it live with us today. So we pre-recorded an interview with him a couple of days ago. I think it was great. It was great
Oh,
having
we had
him
a
here
good
in the
time. We hung
studio.
out. We had some good chuckles. We heard some great anecdotes. There was
100%. We'll get to that in just a second. Our
It was a
first
great chat.
official guest on the Overheard podcast is Jessia, the originator, the mind behind Overheard of Banff. We asked him a few questions about the page and about himself personally. Yeah, we got that queued up for you right now.
All right, guys, enjoy. We'll see you in chat.
Welcome, everybody. We are here at the Overheard podcast for our first guest interview. We're here at the Overheard Studios. My name's Dan, as always. With me, I got
Good old Matty Rage. What's up?
Matty Rage in the building for our first guest. Of course, we would have to get the one and only,
Famous.
the famous Jessia. Welcome to the Overheard podcast. Great to have you.
Hey team, happy to be here.
Excellent. So we're gonna get right into this interview real quick. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from originally?
Originally from Niagara Falls, which is kind of funny. I don't know. I spent a lot of my youth like thinking like, oh man, I got to get out of this tourist trap. And yeah, surely enough.
Right, one tourist
Right
trap
back
for
to
another.
another.
Yeah. But it's a very different tourist trap, you know, like I had like strip clubs down the street from my high school, and I don't think the kids here have that.
No, that's that's something I don't think they'll ever have to deal with here. No.
Yeah, no, we-
Fingers crossed, honestly.
Oh god.
We talked about that on that other post about what the town needs. I don't know that it needs strip clubs.
The businesses, yeah.
Yeah, the
Somebody said
businesses.
needed a strip club. I'm like,
I
I don't know about that.
I think we're a little bit more of a family-friendly
Late night
destination than
McDonald's
Niagara.
fun. That was more of a thing than I think the strip club. That's more entertaining. Anyways, go down to
Yeah.
McDonald's at 2:00 in the morning, watch fight.
True, there is some wild stuff going on there.
I like
that's
that,
for
like
sure.
the way we like sneak our vice in is like not quite through subterfuge or anything, but it's kind of unexpected, right? Like it's a very like, you know, you come out here to hike and ski or whatever else, and then you come out at, you know, after midnight. It's like, oh man.
For sure,
what?
it's like the freaks come out at night.
Oh,
you know?
absolutely.
We got such a family-friendly image during the day, and then as soon as a little bit of booze gets involved and people start going wild, it's not always what you think, which is kind of why we're doing this here for
Yeah,
sure.
I like it.
So yeah, a little bit about yourself before you came to Banff. What brought you here?
Well, I was in grad school before I came here. I'd been in like a long-term relationship. And both those things started to kind of go sideways. You know, I realized, you know, my partner kind of wanted different things out of life. And the program I was in was just not the best fit for me, really. I initially really wanted to study identity formation in like extremist groups online.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was cool. But then I realized, like, oh man, if I do this, I'm going to be reading neo-Nazi chat logs for like the rest of my professional life. And I wasn't down for that.
That sounds depressing.
Yeah. I didn't get the supervisor I wanted. I didn't get the school I wanted. It was kind of a second choice to begin with. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just take an axe to all this and buy a one-way train ticket to Alberta. That's what I did.
I think a lot of us can kind of reminisce and kind of relate to that story as well.
Yeah, I always say that like people come to Banff either running from something or running to something, and usually like the truth is somewhere between those two.
That's a very good way to put it, for sure. I attest to that myself.
Oh yeah.
definitely.
Everybody's got a very
Oh,
different
no.
engagement with either of those two things, right?
Definitely. How long have you been here in the Bow Valley, in the town of Banff?
Oh man, it's gonna be coming up 7 years, end of April.
Jeez, that long.
7 years.
I
So
know.
pre-COVID, I'm sure you've seen a lot of change in the town of Banff.
Yeah, I'm almost like I think it's at the point where like I'm at the halfway point, right? Where like I had, you know, 3 years leading up and then, you know, the years after.
For sure, the first 3 years in the Bow Valley is always kind of daunting. For sure, there's a lot of unexpected roadblocks that you run into. Jobs and housing.
You're setting up really. Like most of us come out here, like everyone is the same story. I'm sure you got a suitcase or a backpack, and you just kind of roll out with your gear, and you come out and you set up a life, right? So like the first couple of years for me, anyways, was staff-a-com, and then
Yep.
finally, you know, you land an apartment, you know, you start setting up, then you're back to kind of starting over from square one. And depending on when you move out here, like I was almost 30 when I moved out here. So
Yeah, I think I was about 25 or so. And
Yeah.
yeah, similar story. Like I'd like done like a garage sale or as close as you can get to one in my apartment in Toronto.
Nice.
Dump everything. Yeah.
Yeah, like just like put price tags on all my like personal and domestic effects and then packed the rest into a backpack and then hopped on the train.
Right on.
Called it quits. That was it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And like during university, like I hadn't traveled much. I didn't do like a semester abroad or anything. Like I was like a hardline Buddhist, really like, dedicated to my relationship and my studies. So it was a pretty huge departure from that to here.
Is that something that's big for you? Spirituality, Buddhism? You still follow that?
I feel like I've become something of like a Christmas Buddhist, right? Like I like the core like tenets of it really resonate with me. It's how I structure and like understand a lot of my personal growth in the world. But not going to temple every week like I used to.
Fair enough. I think somewhere in between is kind of researching spirituality is always kind of a broad spectrum for a lot of people. And once you kind of find what fits for you, narrowing it down and making it your own is kind of
exactly
part of growing up.
I think so. And I think it's also like, especially now, like a lot of the like big narratives that people used to rely on, or like a lot of the big like communal centers have kind of fallen away. People have like really fallen out of love with religion, like, church attendance is down, etc. So you see people trying to fill that void.
Very true. Very true.
It's hard because, there's a lot of demands on contemporary life. It's, extremely unaffordable. Housing's hard to come by. So you don't have as much time to really dedicate to that meaning making.
Very good point.
And, a lot of like major milestones that people used to really look to for structure are either like really, really deferred, or they just don't happen in the way people expect. You're not going from high school to university or directly into a well-paying job and getting a house in your early 20s and starting a family. Like that's gone, right?
100%. That's that whole, like you said, contemporary lifestyle. I think we're moving farther and farther away from that. Not only in the town of Banff, but I think in North America as a whole.
But I think people really come to Banff seeking that, right? That whole like running away from something, running to something. I think a part of what people are looking for is milestones here, right? Like they can really mark their lives like before and after Banff if they, are only staying for a season or two.
That's a good point. I never really thought of it that way. Like, I mean, I never left, but I know people that have left and come back and they say the same thing. It's just not the same. Where are you going to go, right?
I'm one of those people who left and came back, kind of explored other options, explored life outside of this place. And I don't know. It's just not quite what it is. Like you can go struggle somewhere else that isn't as beautiful, or you can struggle here where it's absolutely beautiful, I don't know.
I feel like I did that too a little bit. Like I did my first season here and then I was like, okay, like I'm going to go off and travel because I didn't really do that. So I did my first season and then like did some night audit shifts in that winter, spent some time like trying to learn Mandarin, went to China searching for work.
Nice.
All the way to China in search of work. That's quite the track.
Yeah, it didn't work out.
No.
Turns out like they will also use your visa as like leverage over you there. And I was like, oh man, like that's really brutal. I don't know if I want to sign myself up for that. And then I came back to Banff and I was like, oh shit, we do it too.
Funny enough, it's kind of like a microcosm of that for
sure.
For
sure.
Oh goodness. Well, where did you find the time to come up with Overheard Fb? Like what? Like between setting up, traveling, going to China for work. Where did you have time for this?
I mean, it was definitely like it was a share house idea for sure. Like I can't claim any sort of sole responsibility for it. It's actually my friend Josephine's idea at the time. She's also like she's the other named admin. She's back home in Australia though. But she's like, oh, like I'm surprised that there's not something like, the Facebook or like other groups that a lot of campuses have where people will just like report the goings on campus.
Yeah, fair.
And, I think at the time there was, Bow Valley Network and a few other, community pages or whatever. But there's nothing specific to Banff. And that like as soon as we recognized like, oh, that's kind of strange. Maybe we should do something.
I think it's a great idea. Like the way it's kind of come together.
Oh, it's awesome. I remember like when in its early stages seeing it, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And I think we're at that point where we could say it's pretty great most of the time.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a page that wears many hats. Again, it's a place where we all come together to talk about serious stuff as well as not so serious stuff,
I mean, it's definitely worn different hats over time. Like, I think initially the idea was because we were all front desk agents. Mm-hmm. And like, if you work a front desk at a hotel, like you get the stories,
for sure.
Right? So initially it was like mostly front desk agents across like Caribou properties. And then like we noticed it like starting to spread to other workplaces, and that's when we realized like, oh yeah, no, this might be catching on. Oh geez.
Nice,
Yeah.
right on. It's definitely. How did that page grow? Did you find it grew like right away? Did you have like a little bit of a birthing period where it kind of got stagnant and then took off?
There's been waves, and it's funny, you can like actually kind of track the waves according to like the start and end of like each season, really. Like spring will roll around, people start moving in, people will tell like, oh, like you should join this group.
And then that's an uptick.
Yeah. It's less noticeable now, but like, after the like maybe I'd say like after a year and a half or so, you like really notice it's like, oh, we've gained another like 300 or 400 members in the span of like a couple of weeks. I wonder what's happening.
Yeah. I didn't even think of that being a thing. Like it just everybody comes here kind of all in one massive clump of people all at once. Like it's just what it is.
For sure. Like you wouldn't think of it.
I mean, like people usually like go through a few motions when they first move here, right? You get your contract, you get your staff accom agreement, you go to the ambassador program, whatever.
Oh, exactly.
But like people will also tell you like, the local bits of wisdom. Like if you're looking for a rental, you got to go on Facebook.
That's where it's coming.
If you're looking for the local like gossip or whatever, like it's also there.
Definitely a place for the local gossip for sure.
Yeah.
How do you go about like allowing people into the group? Do you just kind of let anyone into the group? Do you kind of do like I know there's a couple of questions.
We had a hard time getting in, believe it or
not.
We couldn't get in. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, no, we put up a few filters so that like because for a while it was fairly obvious. Like the usual metric not the usual. The old metric that we used to use is if we saw like mountains in your display picture or like lives in Banff, where you just like seemed like the likely candidate for moving to Banff, like you got an approval, or it'd be like go into your profile or whatever.
Like a flannel shirt and a saggy hat, or a pointy hat these days.
Hey, that's a cheap shot. Man. That's a cheap shot. Yeah.
But like that had to change over time as we just like just the volume of people started growing. So we like have at least a question. I think I'm not sure what some of the original questions were, but right now the one is like, where's the best poutine in town?
Nice.
And honestly, like some people just don't know. Like they're not even here yet. But the main thing is just like getting bots out, because there's tons of bots on Facebook.
Oh God, yeah.
And usually they'll just like say like, yeah, I agreed. The group will automatically put in yes to whatever the question is.
Okay.
So if it's like, what's your favorite poutine? The answer is yes. Like pretty strong tell. But we also made it so that if you've made a new account in the past like 3 months or something, it just automatically denies you. So that's how you guys got
I knew it was something. I was like, that was automatic. That was an automatic.
I think we got a little notice that said that. It was like your page is too new, not enough activity, something like that. So that is a good safeguard for sure.
It was about an hour and a half old. So
so we won't take it too personal.
I can override those things. It's okay.
We knew who to talk to. We knew who to get a hold of.
But also like it's like there's I don't know, like at least like 4 or so active mods and other people that are still on the mod team and like weigh in on major decisions. Right. So there's like people to handle the volume when there is volume to deal with.
You're a busy guy, right? Like you've got
real busy, right? I mean, like you go on Facebook and you check the group and it's like, oh shit, there's tons of people waiting to get in. That's how it usually goes. Like I can see like the activity log for what like moderators are doing.
Right.
You can tell when somebody's checked and been like, oh damn it.
Well, a big shout out to all the Overheard and Banff moderators here. I want to give you guys all some love, even though we can't get all of you in here. Who knows? Maybe one day we can kind of work our way slowly through the admin. If you guys do want to come by for an interview, don't be shy to reach out on the Facebook, on the YouTube, any social, reach out to us. We'd love to have you in, talk about more about your experience on the Overheard and Banff page as an admin as well. Moving forward, how much work goes into it? How much time would you say a week are you dedicating to the page? Like,
nitty gritty.
It's definitely like, I don't know. It's hard to determine like where like, group work starts and like, like it ends. Like approving members and posts is like relatively quick. It's not too bad. It needs to be done like an ongoing basis or whatever. But if there's any sort of like spice going on or one thing that's like that we definitely noticed after the group gained some traction is we were getting leads on like people having like serious like tenancy or workplace issues.
Oh,
That's where things can start eating at some time.
right.
And that's like had ebbs and flows for sure.
Right. Like just don't post about your work, or, if your management, maybe don't be in there posting weird
Yeah.
stuff, and just, you know what I mean? Like,
But even if we see something in like the post queue, for example, where
Right,
we're like,
right.
actually, let's try and talk about this separately. If it sounds like something like, oh, okay.
Is that something that you've done? Is like get in the post queue and intervene before posting, or try to help people out in that sense?
Yeah, for sure. I think we definitely made some like mistakes in being like, oh yeah, like this will like generate and like like people will respond to this or whatever. But then like it's like, oh no, like this is actually going off the rails and this person's in a hard place. Like no, let's not do that actually.
Well, I think we've all seen those posts that kind of get posted and then the comments get shut off, or the comments
Yeah,
get
it
turned
gets a
off.
little-
Like it does get
it
when
gets out of hand at a certain point, and then it just gets into name calling, and then that's kind of the end of the conversation at that point, right?
Well, and,
Like,
and the more people engage with it, the more it's going to like stay at the top of the post listing. It's going to show up in more people's algorithms. Like it's it just kind of feeds itself, right?
Well, I think we all owe you a big thanks for all that hard work
No doubt.
of monitoring the spice. Like I think we've all kind of, maybe not all been on the receiving end, but we've all seen those posts kind of getting out of hand and
Right.
think, oh my God, like the original poster or the person,
Right.
and say in the comments. Sometimes it is warranted though, but sometimes
Absolutely. But like, yeah, you like it's definitely gonna like affect people's day, like, oh man, I just got shot on for like an hour straight. That sucks.
oh yeah,
for sure. And
well, that'll bring anybody's day down a little bit, even if it's just
for
some
sure.
random on the internet. It's still like whatever. You still like, damn, that hurt a bit.
Yeah, no one wants
That's
to
a little
hear
bit
that
of the
about
truth,
themselves.
man.
No. Like, and I don't know, the internet as it exists today is like just like poisonous to people's health. Like, it's not
I think
good
I would
for
agree.
you.
I would agree with you there. I got a bit of a theory myself that like part of our social downfall is social media and the internet, and like
Oh, for sure.
a lot less face-to-face contact, a lot more.
It's-
Even though your name's on it, it feels more anonymous to fire away from a keyboard or
Oh,
from
for
your
sure.
phone than to actually, tell someone in their face that you think their opinion's wrong.
Yeah, you
know?
wouldn't. The half of the stuff that's said on the internet, a large portion of it, you would never say that to somebody's face. Not
No.
any respectable person, anyways. Like I've seen some pretty gnarly stuff. On
Yeah, and like even like kind of the way Facebook functions, like Overheard started around the time that Facebook was like really prioritizing groups as that's like the posts you'd get in your news feed, and like they're really like trying to encourage people to get into them.
Do you think that helped with your growth off the bat?
Oh, for sure. But like I think it's funny because you can like tie like stuff that perhaps like benefited Overheard and Banff or like other small community. Like we're not by any means like the only like small town community Facebook. They're kind of all over the place.
Right.
And in places that like don't have like a good local newspaper, like that's the closest thing to a news source in some places, which is
Very
wild
true.
to think about. But for us, like, yeah, like Facebook started prioritizing groups and But around the same time, like people were using that group priority to like put forward like AstroTurf campaigns in the States where like they'd like really like magnify, social or political issues that, are speak to, certain subsets of the population's distinctly racist proclivities. And, it was a very easy way to make an issue seem much bigger than it actually was.
Which I think is very relevant these days more than ever.
Oh yeah, like the Trump era for sure. Like you saw a lot of
right.
like Facebookers just like kind of like skyrocket in popularity, and it's just like a means of distributing propaganda. For us, it was just like, oh, you joined Overheard and like it shows up in your newsfeed more than you might expect. And also like the way like Facebook will prioritize posts, like it's there's like all the ways you can react to posts. Angry reacts tends to boost things in the algorithm more.
Really?
Oh
Okay.
yeah, for sure,
Okay.
for sure. The divisive stuff is what will like kind of percolate to the top.
Which I think you can tell by the pages that do kind of rise to the top, that you do kind of get in your feed. You're like, what is going on? How is this end up here? But I guess, the angry react, that does make that.
Yeah. And even now, like I've noticed that like things have like really stabilized and calmed down. Like there's like a certain like observable rhythm to Overheard. Like it's it's not like the heady days of, like a couple years ago where it's just like endless nonsense. But, now you look at like your Facebook algorithm and like a lot of it is sponsored or recommended posts.
Right.
And I think that's driving a new kind of, well, not a new brand, but like it's also magnifying, political extremism, people kind of falling into different camps. That like filter bubble is even stronger than it used to be.
I did like the point you brought up about Overheard being a news source, and I know, like for myself, it is my primary news source. Like I'm on there every day. I find out about like that Town of Banff stuff. I'm finding it out on Overheard. I'm not finding it out from the Town of Banff algorithm or other pages. Like it's always
I'm not picking up
the
newspaper. Like very seldomly do I pick up the newspaper and read through it because it's mostly just the same. There's a festival this weekend. There's this weekend.
It seems like it's a very big. I don't know.
Housing crisis.
They do a lot more filtering than the Overheard of Banff page.
Well, it's funny. We had the Rocky Mountain Outlook come to the library where I'm working. They did. It was a pretty small event, like pretty sparse attendance. I wish some more people came. Shucks. Nice. But I managed to get some questions in about this. And like there's a bit of a funny reciprocal relationship there, right? Mm-hmm. Like journalists will look to Facebook groups and pages to get a sense of what people are talking about, what are their concerns. And then use that to direct their attention.
For sure.
But then people on the other side will probably only read news articles that make their way to the page.
Yeah, probably a little guilty of that.
Oh, sure. That's fine. And there's only so much time in the day.
I hear you. Well, what other community projects are you involved in? Because I know you do some outreach. You ran for city council.
Yeah.
You were a busy guy.
I've had a checkered history. It turns out one of the consolation prizes for running for office is people want you to serve on boards for nonprofits. Okay. Which is an unexpected thing. So I'm on the board for Banff Pride, the Adult Learning Center, and now the community board of the hospital. And I work at the library.
Jeez, nice. So very, very
well. Thank you for taking the time to come and hang out.
But, no, all good. But it's they're not so much projects as it feels like. I don't know. I feel like I've gone institutional. I've abandoned my roots. But I really had. I'm glad I cut my teeth doing things. I did nightlife outreach for a summer.
Yeah. I think we all remember seeing you on Banff Ave.
The
flag and the
bike.
Oh
yeah, absolutely. I learned a lot doing that, and managed to raise some money for getting fentanyl test strips, which are also available at your local public library.
Nice.
Perfect.
So if you hear that, go. If you're in the partying scene, go get them at the local public library.
Don't be messing around with that right now. That's
well, if you are, test it. You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. Don't mess around.
Yeah.
You can mess around. I'm not your dad, but
there's risks, so be mindful of them. Easy enough. Doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah, exactly.
A great program to have in our community, especially these days, for sure. You want to touch more about that, or how do you have to sign up? You just show up to the library. You just show up and get one.
No,
naloxone kits.
There's naloxone kits too.
Perfect.
No, but the test strips are just on a shelf. You just go and grab them.
Anonymous. You just go grab it.
Yeah, we're not asking you anything about it.
Easy peasy.
Awesome. So
even better reason Even better reason to go. Grab a couple. Grab a kit while you're there.
Never
know. The odd time that little bag could save you.
It's kind of like a little saying I use in the backcountry. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So go pick up
the
your
Scouts
test.
motto: be prepared.
For sure. Go pick up your test kits at the library. That's awesome. So a lot of nonprofit work for you these days.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
How's that been?
It's interesting. A lot of nonprofits are pretty under the gun. Charities are not getting as much donations. Cost of living's going up, so you have to pay staff more, but there's just only so much money to go around. Everybody's competing for similar grants. I think Bow Valley's lucky in a lot of respects. Banff Pride has been doing extraordinarily well. It's gone from an annual festival to doing stuff all year long. So I was pretty happy to see that happen, to be part of that.
I think myself specifically being a bartender, I've definitely noticed the growth of Banff Pride over the years, as far as not only the events but just the community outreach, just being out there, having people having that conversation, which is
I remember when Banff Pride was it October? It was just October, November. They just did that 1 week. That was it, and then that was kind of the end of it. And now I see events all the time, all over the place. Actually, it's great.
It's still that, but it's a lot more, and especially important considering the province we're in, the recent changes that the government's trying to put through, putting kids at risk, not great. But it's good to have a supportive community here for sure.
Oh, for sure. And a town this small, it makes it a little harder too, right? It's just this tiny little town. A lot of those tiny towns probably don't have anything like that. You know what I mean? not to that abundance, anyways.
No,
with the
no.
events and the whole festival, and
Yeah.
it's there.
Mhm.
Great to see for sure. Just
Oh,
any
yeah.
more resources we can get for our locals in any way, shape, or form.
No doubt.
Mhm.
Thank you a
Mhm.
lot for being a part of that.
Hey, I'm a small part of it. Definitely got to shout out the people that are pulling their weight over there.
For sure. Big shout out. If they want to come by the pod, give us a
Yeah.
message, let us know. I'll be more than happy to have you on. Moving away from kind of the page a little bit, housing in the town of Banff. You've been a victim of the housing crisis. You want to elaborate on some of that? Tell us a little bit of your experience. I know you've had some interactions
go.
on the page.
Yeah. I mean, like, yes and no. I feel like I've been extraordinarily lucky. I had okay staff accom assignments, some better than others.
We can leave it at that.
Yeah. Nobody, like, tiled bedroom floors is that should be illegal.
Yeah, that's not.
I had that in Toronto. Yeah, that is.
That's
Yeah.
gonna play on your mental health a little bit. Like,
Yeah, you need a lot of rugs.
like, or
Like,
like.
you feel like you've woken up in a bathroom. It's weird.
Yeah.
I've fallen asleep in a few bathrooms before under certain circumstances.
No.
Probably make you feel about the same way.
Is that did you have an issue with the housing crisis during that time? Were you?
Oh, I've myself. No, let's put it this way: sleeping on those tile floors was not due to the housing crisis.
Okay.
But I myself, I've lived in, I want to say 12 different apartments. Like, it seems like you get a lease, you keep it for a year, and then they can either like shop it around to someone else at a higher price, or they can raise you. What is it? 2% is the.
Yeah.
I don't think they got those caps. No, I don't think they got those caps. So we're Wild West out here for sure.
Yeah.
But like I said, I've been pretty lucky. Like, my current spot, like, pretty awesome. Probably not going to move for as long as I can.
Hold on to it.
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
but like, people like, I see a lot of this happening now. People getting like booted because their like house or apartments being converted into staff accommodation.
Right.
That definitely happened to me, but under false pretenses. The person did not have a registered business, and it was just like, we're just gonna boot you out for somebody that's gonna pay more. It's like, oof.
I feel like I've had that happen to myself before. There's one place in particular, I'm not going to say where, but yeah, they're like, oh, the owner's turning it into a staff accom. You have to leave. And then we saw the people that moved in, like, we walked past maybe, a month later. It just seems like normal residents. Like, it didn't seem like, I don't know, like, I wasn't sure that they, I can't tell where people are working, but it's like, is it really a staff accom? Like, they seem to just have another couple and another person.
They just gave her the old bump and gave you the old boot is what happened.
Yeah, maybe I had one too many noise complaints.
No, in that case though, like, we had like the name of a business. I'm not going to name which one. They're like, yeah, like this is who your landlord is in one way or another, but like, they were not part of that business for like years.
Oh no.
So like, it was for another business that you didn't name, but like was not registered. So
okay,
didn't fly.
Yeah.
I've had once. Actually, I'm not going to get into that. Somebody died. You might have to scratch this.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Scratch that one.
Yeah.
enough,
But like,
fair enough.
been displaced for that reason as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the rough reason to be displaced for sure. And again, like, town of Banff trying to find a place is always you find one, you stick with it long term for sure. Be nice to your landlords. Get them a little Christmas gift or something.
Get them a bottle of wine and something for their birthday. Yeah, I don't know.
Help them shovel in the winter months. I think that goes along.
I'd love to see landlord licensing. I mean, like, you need a license to drive a car, but to like, house people, it's just the Wild West. And if you mess up, there's like very little in the way of reprimands, like maybe some fines, but like amount to a slap on the wrist, really.
Good point.
Valid point. When I had another issue with my housing where a landlord kept my damage deposit, which I think is a very
That's pretty common
thing here in the town of Banff. I've lost a couple, and there's just no recourse. Like, what, you go to court and pay more money, where like I've already down a damage deposit, which is usually in the thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So like, I'm already down this money.
I don't remember the last time I got one back.
It's funny, like that's like the number one thing that like I'll find myself helping people with. Like, like I suspect I'm not going to get my damage deposit back. Like, what can I do? And it's like, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Do you have any resources off the top that you can give people while we're
just
about
like
it?
Whatever evidence you can get, like record phone calls, get everything in writing, like take pictures of everything. Like the more you can outfit yourself with something that's saying like, hey, like actually no, you're not in the right here. Like, give me my damage deposit back. And then, go to the dispute resolution board and like decent track record for getting them back.
Okay.
Unless like something's really gone like sideways, or
Yeah,
if they didn't do a move-in inspection at all, which like happens quite often, like they don't have any means to compare the original state of your rental, so like you should be getting that back.
So I think it's a very good point out there, everyone that hasn't had an initial move-in inspection. Just be aware of your rights, I guess.
Yeah, and also like the dispute resolution board, like pretty good. Like it's not like the balance is not totally tilted towards landlords at all.
And where would you contact them?
There's a website. You gotta you just file it. And
Maybe we'll find it.
We'll find it.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll link that in the
there's like
an
an
episode as
acronym
well.
that I always forget, like the RTRSD. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Awesome.
Cool.
We'll have that for our live viewers for sure.
Just as far as vacancy rate, like we talked about it a little bit last episode. What was it? 2021, 22 there was 0.03 and then 0 and
there was a couple years that it was sitting actually at 0.
Yeah,
supposedly now we're at 0.3.
That's usually where it hovers here. It seems like that's been that way for a while, I suspect. Like there's only so much building they can do here, which is to say like barely any, unless they're redeveloping an existing property. So like it fills up.
I was gonna say, any ideas as to how we could move forward through that as a town? You got any ideas?
You got to build houses.
Yeah,
That's
you got to build
answer.
single family homes.
Like it's kind of funny. Like there's like the housing crisis here for sure, but like there's the nationwide one. And everybody's like, why is this happening? It's like, well, because like we're not building houses, and we don't have like a priority around building things that might not be as profitable.
Well, even for a house, I couldn't afford a house.
Oh God, no. No.
Like I can't afford a house. Not
even Cochrane, let alone
not even Cochrane
Valley.
Yeah,
like Bow Valley. So,
but I mean, like the federal government stepped away from building houses back in like the 90s, and you can there's like a very handy chart where it's like, the amount of publicly owned or subsidized housing in Canada, it just like falls off a cliff. And then suddenly, like, the cost of housing starts rising immediately after. And it's like, I wonder why. Well, yeah, because Canada's not building houses for people. And if you leave it, to developers, well, they're probably going to, they're incentivized to seek profit.
Right. They're building luxury homes, and the ones on the big hill there in Cochrane and start at $500,000 or something like that. So who's got $500,000? Who's going to give you, who makes enough money right now working service industry to afford $500,000 mortgage? Not a single person.
No. You like either need like, you need two incomes, and you need to like have other advantages on your side. But yeah, no, Canada's like been pretty bad about this. And in like some housing markets, like, in some of the major cities, you've got these luxury condos going up. And like the people who do have money for that, like include, the uber rich here and abroad, such that like people will use Canadian real estate to launder their money.
Yeah.
Which is like,
not ideal for the rest of us that aren't laundering money.
Not
really a good look, though.
No. So you have like, these like vacant blocks of condos, and then like, thousands of homeless people in major cities. It's like, oh, like, come on. Like we could absolutely be doing better than this, and then just like scratching our heads as to why this is happening. It's not actually a mystery.
It seems a little bit silly for sure. I think, definitely when you leave it up to developers, I think profit takes incentive over people, unfortunately.
Seems that way.
Which is a sad reality that we
everybody wants to make
today.
money, right? Like, what are you gonna do? That is, if you're a big company and you got millions of dollars of equity, you gotta spend money to make more, I guess. You're not gonna make it if you're not spending it. And houses out here aren't cheap, man, if you haven't noticed.
So I guess the housing crisis is not anything particular just to Banff where they're experiencing.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely got like weird constraints here, right? Like being in a national park, like the need to reside, et cetera. But it's I think there's also been the expansion of industry like slowly but surely here, where like, not only is there not much of a housing stock, there's like more space like leased to left to commercial purposes that need more staff, that that puts housing pressure on us too.
Exactly.
While we're on that topic, I think it's a good time to bring up the closure of Banff Avenue. What are your thoughts on that? And
I mean,
as far as expanding business space, bringing more people to the town,
Yeah,
What are your
I'm
thoughts?
I'm surprised at the tech that the town has on this, which is like, nope, we're going forward with patios and all, like Parks Canada, like on guard, like
Right.
I don't think that's gonna go that well.
That's what I said in the last pod. We kind of touched on it a bit. I said the same thing. Why would you poke Parks Canada? It just doesn't seem smart at all to me.
No,
It's
no.
not something I would do, but
I feel like it should be a symbiotic relationship with Parks Canada and the
Exactly.
town, not one that they're fighting each other,
Yeah, no, and like I think you can say that like Parks Canada has like been like kind of cagey. They're slow to respond, et cetera,
Right.
et cetera. But like also like there's like very clear dividing lines here. Like Parks Canada can say no to anything the town does and
Yeah,
like put the
exactly.
hammer down. So I don't know. I don't know if that's the best idea as far as like what I think about the Banff Ave closure. I think I was very enthusiastic about it. I like the idea of like, limiting cars in town. Like it's obviously super congested. But I think we need to like, if we're going to make it a permanent thing, we need like permanent infrastructure around it. And we just like, it's just not there.
right.
Um,
That jam up at the bridge, there's nothing you can really do to avoid it. You'd have to build an entire another bridge somewhere.
But I mean, traffic at the bridge is going to be traffic at the bridge, whether Banff Ave is open or not. I think
Right.
having
Yeah.
it spill over
Yeah.
onto Muskrat and,
And
onto the
that's
other
that's-
streets is
yeah,
more of the
Well,
issue.
that's what gets me,
It's
right? Like it's
not just on Banff Ave now. Now it's on everybody's front lawn, right?
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like we need like a built environment that'll actually support it, right? Like you can't have like idling buses next to a retirement home.
Yeah, I
It's
did
not
see
great,
someone
you
post
know?
about that. That was a terrible, like,
That's rough, right? Like to go from like being able to like hang out on your like front steps or in your balcony or whatever, and then suddenly you can't. It's like supposed to be your golden years. Like that sucks.
Yeah,
Oh,
come
yeah.
That
retire in
sucks.
Banff and breathe bus fumes all summer. The only time you can be
Great
outside.
views, great fumes.
Yeah.
No, hard no. But like as far as like solutions to it, it's really hard, right? I feel like a lot of what's being proposed is kind of built around like, oh, like you'll arrive and like drop off your car at the train station, then you can be transited in. But like I don't know if we should necessarily be tying like all of our transportation plan ostensibly around like that proposal and Banff Ave being closed in the way that it is. Like I think there's probably more solutions, right?
There's probably more options than what we've been trying so far.
Yeah. And I don't know how you feel about like, paving over more of a wildlife corridor to add, another parking lot in that area. I don't know. I'm just not won over by the solutions on offer. And I
No.
think like,
Well, there's always building up.
When
They
I
were
saw that
talking about-
development,
yeah,
like plan picture, I was like, holy shit, that's a lot of land. That's like the whole, like
Yeah,
that
they're
whole
going to tear
area.
down the Fenland Loop, I think is they're talking. Or, yeah, the little walking loop there. And all that.
yeah. I don't
that's
know how I feel
insane.
about it. I don't know
No.
how I feel about it. So
And that's
anyway,
like right beside wetland right there.
yeah, right beside wetlands. And like, I mean, it's
Like,
crazy.
you want to have tourists out there, no offense, but like they drop garbage.
Yeah, and
a
I
lot
mean,
of
we
it.
had the boss like hanging out over there, like
Yeah.
no more
No
than
doubt.
5 months ago. Like
No
it's not a
doubt.
mystery that wildlife goes through there. So I don't know if paving over it's a good idea.
No.
Yeah, fair.
I don't agree with that by any means, but
No,
I
but
don't think paving is the option. There is the option to build up. I know they were talking at Sunshine about their parking restraints, and there was maybe a proposal to build a multi-level parking structure. Which again,
Right,
do you
right.
want to look at a big grave? Like imagine if you had like a 3-level parking structure where the train
Yeah.
parking lot is now. Like, is that
yeah, I
Or-
think you're building up or you're building down, right? Like it's
Fair.
like we can't do underground parking. Like a lot of like residences do that. We already have like
Very
some
true.
structures that do that. Like I think it's not something we should rule out entirely, but yeah, I don't think we necessarily need to pave over more land.
no,
That's a good-
not there.
No.
That's
Yeah.
like that's prime, like it's freaking wildlife.
Yeah, I think we
Corridor,
don't want to lose
like,
sight of like
Yeah.
why we're here, which is it's a national park and it's probably stay that way.
Like at
you
the end of
know?
the,
100%,
at the
I
end of the
think,
day, we're in the parks space.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
So we gotta
environmental
remember that at the end of the
sustainability.
day, right?
And it seems like they're like, they're being very close-lipped about proposals because they don't want to like put their thumbs on the scale too much because they want, I'm not too sure exactly what the priorities are. But like, I think they're waiting to hear proposals that are more in line with what they
Right.
would actually like to see.
I hope so.
I mean,
I hope
yeah,
so.
I
anyway.
hope so. I hope so.
Well, we can't speak on their behalf and what they got
no,
planned,
no,
but
I'm not going to pretend at that.
yeah, I think it's important to talk about that as a community as far as what needs to be developed, and different options, because we're not the only ones out here talking about it or thinking about different options for our town moving forward.
That's pretty big change for that end of town, anyway.
For sure.
Since I've been here, that's always just been like they always have like wolf and coyote signs up all over the place there, like elk signs out there. Every time I go for a bike ride out around there, there's wildlife signs like watch your shit in here, basically.
I think the big question is like, is the risk worth the reward with,
right?
How many more people are you going to get in for the amount of wildlife you're going to displace?
Right. Yeah. I think like you see other places talking about like, oh, you got to like talk seriously about like firm limits to, how many people can come in this space. Like
I've been saying that for years. Yeah. Like
Moraine Lake. They cap that, like I think.
At what point do you have a bus system bringing people into Banff? I think that's
right. I wonder about that. But I just don't know if it's necessarily where things are going to be. It's just because there's too many like reasons people come here. Like some people are going to stop over on their way to, a campsite.
Right.
Other people are like, coming on a tour bus.
We are on a major highway as well. You can't
there's only one way. There's only kind of one way through here, right?
So I don't think that's the solution either.
But, no. And like the constant comparisons to like, mountain towns in Switzerland. It's like, Switzerland didn't do this right either. Like people from Switzerland come here because they're like, I want to see wildlife.
Yeah, because it's overdeveloped as hell over there. Yeah.
Right.
I've heard that a million times on the lift. You're just sitting there and buddy's like, oh, this is like the Alps. Just like, there's nothing though. It's awesome. Like, what do you mean there's nothing? It's awesome. He's like, oh yeah, because in the Alps there'd be like a massive building at the top here, like a bar and all this stuff, and like hot tubs and like hotel rooms, but it's just like snow up here. It's awesome. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, man. Like,
and I think that's what Banff does well, is keeping that natural environment that we have and not allowing like snowmobiles and dirt bikes and that kind of stuff. Like, so there is some protection there. It's just how far do we want to expand?
And that's just, I think that's just another. I think they're just taking it. I don't know. I think the town of Banff, I don't know if they've lost sight of like where we are exactly, like located. I don't want to say it, but like it's almost like they're acting like a bratty 14-year-old. Like, no, I'm gonna do this with like.
I just think that like if you're operating as a business,
couple of years,
you kind of always want to beat your previous numbers. You know what I mean? Like I don't think it's I think
people
are paid to do a better job than they did the year prior, so. They're trying to get more people in.
Right, but we're not a metropolis. Like,
no. I think the idea of like ending growth or like, hedging that in, I think that's like it's a scary proposition for folks. Because there's definitely an incentive to move in one direction, but like we can't always do that. We've got firm limits here that we should be keeping in mind.
At what cost, I think, is the
Well, what other kind of massive changes or big changes have you seen since you've been here 7 years now, you said, right? So what have you noticed or witnessed that's kind of changed your perspective on Banff, I guess, or just something that's really stuck out?
I mean, going like into COVID and then kind of out of the like high days. I don't like saying that we're like out of COVID because like there's like hospitals are still pretty choked about it.
It's changed. I think the dynamic of the world. I think like pre-COVID. I don't think post-COVID. I think we just live with it now.
I don't think Banff has changed as much as I've changed within Banff. So it's hard for me to get like a real sense of like how much of things have changed outside like seeing, the scale of development changing a little bit, some,
it's a good way to put it for sure.
Yeah. Or like seeing like smaller stores kind of go and then restaurants open in their place, like definitely seeing that happen. And I think people that have been seeing that happen for longer, like feel that effect much more, but like, I'm definitely in a place where I can say like, oh yeah, like I've seen that happen too.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, there were a lot of local spots that just aren't here. Like Hootoo's, Bruno's.
Bruno's.
Have you been to the Job Resource Center here? Oh yeah, that's probably the biggest trip. I walked in there.
I love that. Just how many jobs were lost in the location where the Job Resource Center is now?
100%.
Insane. Like, what did you do last night? Oh man, I went to friggin' what was it called? I can't even remember now.
I've been a victim of that. I definitely have lost a job because I partied at the Gap the night before.
I was at the Gap.
Whoops.
I was at the Gap and I don't want to go to work today. I'm just going to get fired instead. It's like, well, how late were you there? I was just drinking tall boys and Jager bombs all night. I don't remember. I'm not going.
And then 3 months later, you go into the exact same spot to get a job.
I asked them if I could keep the bathroom door open just to kind of bring back memories. They said no.
No, you would have to tear the bathroom door off. You know that's
there were
not all
no
the
bathroom
way.
doors. What do you mean?
So good. Right on. So yeah, I think as that was a great point. Kind of as we all spend more time in Banff, I think your perspective definitely does change on the town, on like what's
Right.
important and what needs doing and what needs changing and what needs to stay the same, you know? And ask us probably again, if we have the same conversation in
Yeah.
a couple of years, which we probably should, maybe our perspective will change. Who knows?
Yeah, I would hope
exactly.
so. Yeah, but yeah, no, the kind of the expansion of the commercial sector here. Yeah, I've seen it. It's wild to see like the hotel development right at the end of the street here.
Yeah,
like the
exactly,
canoe
for sure.
flew up in very short order, and I'm like,
Okay.
oh man, like that's gonna have to be staffed and everything.
Oh,
It's-
exactly. And that's where they're gonna live.
Well, where
Like, that's where we
there was a
circle back
hotel
to
there
where-
before, so what
Yeah.
has the staff been doing?
Oh, right.
Since it's
Yeah,
been
that's
closed.
That's
and
true.
open, right? Do
Yeah.
they stick around town? Do they go and come back? Do they find staff? You'd hope they'd keep staff that was there before, but I mean,
That's a long wait though. Like you're still waiting 2 year and a half,
True.
2 years to get your job back.
True.
I mean,
Mhm.
I
most
know
of those
in the-
people probably aren't even here anymore.
when the Mount Royal burned down, I don't think we were offered our jobs back. I think that was just a cut and dry situation.
They were down.
Cut a check, see ya.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
They were down for a while though, weren't they? When that burnt down, they were.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like
Like
it
the
was
whole
a-
roof of the building burned off. So
yeah, the Heritage Building took years and
Yeah.
years for sure, but I don't know. Who knows? We can't talk about other businesses. One final question for you, and I think this is one that we're going to ask a lot of our guests as they come through. Since you've been here for so long, what is one thing that you think is vital for long-term success here in the Bow Valley? Not just as a professional, but just as a person. Like a lot of people come and go. What's kept you here for so long? What would be your advice to someone who maybe just got here?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Yeah,
he's thinking.
I'm thinking. Yeah, I
That's
think
good.
part
I
of
like
it is professional though. Like you said to ignore it, but like I don't know. Like you gotta take like some material considerations realistically. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, staff accommodation will like help you land on your feet here, but you do have to like be very mindful about how comfortable you're going to be in that. I think a lot of businesses are putting restrictions on that to begin with. Like you can only stay for like whatever, like 6, 12, 18 months.
Oh, okay.
So like, yeah, make those connections fast and like leap into it. Cause if you're coming here for, ostensibly the same reason to like, seek new experiences and stuff, realize that, people have done that before you and like you can share those stories and build connections pretty fast. And I think that is like a very, very good way to keep yourself here. Like the difference between trying to find a rental and knowing nobody and actually like knowing people that like are looking out for your interests, like
Good point.
world of difference.
Absolutely.
World of
Yeah.
difference. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't know. People value this place for its like, small community feel. And like there's good reasons for that. Like
Yeah.
it's beyond like the social and emotional aspects, like
Mhm.
for your like material comfort, like actually that will
Go a
factor
long
in.
way.
For sure.
How
No,
many
no, a lot
times
of
have we
people.
all had a job, right? Like your buddy calls you want to come work, or you need a new job, text a buddy, hey man, you looking for anybody?
Mhm.
Just come down. It's like, I think we touched on it last episode. Don't burn bridges, or try not to anyways. It's sometimes it's hard because it's such a small town and everybody's always together for the most part. If you have a little group, it's easy to run into everybody and you're always kind of together. It's not like a big city where you live half an hour, 45 minutes away. You're not going to bump into that person at the grocery store, right? So
Very true. If you start something with someone, you will probably see
you will
them
run
at the
it.
grocery
You
store.
will run it. It's like I always said: if you steal someone's bike in Banff, you'll see them riding it down Main Street tomorrow.
You might be
It's-
asking them for a job in a
right.
week.
Yeah,
so
you might be asking them for a job in your bike back, but
I think that's some good advice for sure.
I do. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
no, that saved me in the past for sure.
Oh, big time. And it depends, I guess, kind of how you land in Banff, right? I landed up at the hostel, so I was in an environment where it was super social. You get tossed in a room with 8 other people that you don't know from who knows where, and you kind of just make friends, lose friends. Not everybody gets along, especially when you're in it. All right, everyone, we're back. Let's give a big hand to Josiah there. He killed it. That was a
shout out.
lot of fun the other day when we were recording that. We were kind of hanging out a little bit afterwards, just chatting a little bit more, and
That
Had
was a great
couple laughs
time.
there. That was awesome.
It was my first time meeting Josiah. I think he's got lots to say.
That was your first time?
First time meeting him. Yeah, I know him
Jeez.
from the page. We've had a few interactions through my 911 meme days. But that was about it. Yeah, great to put a face to a name and just, make that connection.
Oh, he's awesome. I love that dude. All
We
right.
do have a few more pieces of content from you before we move on for the night. This next one here is one that I think we can all relate to for sure. We've seen if you have seen this one around town or you haven't, pretty good stuff.
So best beer of Banff, your after work beer. Where are you guys going? If you're still in the chat, let us know. Where you guys heading for your after work beer? It looks like Rose and Crown is beating it out big time.
Rose and Crown is a clear favorite on this board here. You got the Brew Pub with 3 ticks. You got Tommy's with 1. Rose and Crown's got a solid 5. The Beaver Bar is sitting at 1. 3 Bears is sitting at 1. The Nourish and Pump and Tap, both with the Admirable 2. And Shower Beers. Shower Beer is always a very popular 1 tick on there.
If you got a cold beer and you got a hot shower, that is a good time. I don't recommend glass in the shower.
Definitely not. I was a shower beer guy back in the day for sure. I was known to crack a little cold one in there.
Oh man, shower beers are great. Like after work, because you just really want a shower, but you also just really want a beer.
Fair.
But you don't want to wait to have your beer or the shower.
Mixing business with pleasure.
That's right.
Not always a bad thing.
Pleasure.
I know my after work beer used to always be, I used to have a little routine because I lived like right in the heart of downtown.
Oh yeah.
So I would finish my job. I would of course have a couple as I'm closing. I would go to the Pump and Tap, the Rose and Crown, and I would always end up at the Devil's Gap to finish my night off. Always, always, always.
That's a good lap.
It's a pretty good lap. I lived like right across the street, so it was a very short walk home.
I guess I don't really have a lap. I usually just go to Brew and I'll hang out there for 2 pints and head home. But
you're a brew guy, so add one other tick to the Brew Pub. That puts
another one of the Brew there,
Rose
guys.
and Crown. Yeah, shout out to whoever's doing this around town. I love bumping into this sign every now and again, seeing what the feelers are around, what the people.
They had
think.
another one too, I think last time. Oh no, that was the other shop. They had something else going on. I can't remember what it was now, but it was along the same lines. I think it was like best sandwich or something weird. I don't remember now.
Could get into that. Definitely, we'll keep it coming. Whoever's putting these up, pretty hilarious.
Oh, here we go. This is I think this is one of my favorite ones from. You want to take this? You want to take reins on this one, buddy?
Oh my God, I will take the reins on this one, please. Okay, this is a post that comes up. I want to say every 6 months, maybe a year. This when a new crop rolls into town. And is anyone else fed up with the trains sounding their horn and getting woke up every night? Let me tell you, all right? The train has to be loud in the national park. It's for the freaking animals. What do you mean, getting woke up at night? I know it can be annoying. I know it can be a nuisance for some, especially if you have small children or whatever, but it's necessary. What happens is the train comes through the national park and hits the wildlife. Not to mention, it has hit bears in the past. It's hit, I think the boss actually got hit by the train and survived.
Yeah.
So due to all of these incidences that have happened with wildlife and of course with people, in the national park, they have to slow the train down. They have to, I think, sound the horn more often than they would normally.
Makes sense.
And at a higher level. So I'm sorry to whoever made this post. I don't think you're going to get any reprieve from the Banff train. The best advice I can get to you is get used to it.
If you want some context, for instance, it will shake my entire apartment when the train goes by. I'm not even kidding. Like, look at the yo-yo shelf over there. They're all shaking out of place just from it. Like, it will literally, you'll be sitting here on the couch and you can feel it. It's like a tiny little earthquake almost, but
it's like those old beds you used to have in cheap motels. You put a 25 cents in.
When you're trying to fall asleep, it's just like the old school. I don't even know what. I don't even.
Yeah, you definitely know when the train's going by.
That's a 70s deal, I guess. Those beds, eh?
But yeah, hilarious stuff comes up at least once a year. I've actually seen people try to petition for them to turn it down before. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. The train's here to stay. It's part of Banff. Unfortunately, if it bothers you,
there's kind of only one way. It's like, where else are you going to put it?
Yeah, you're just going to kind of have to live with it. Sorry, pal.
Yeah. All right. What do we got next? Oh, Town of Banff. So the Community Helpers Wellness Program is one-day workshop focused on mental health awareness, suicide prevention, They'll teach you how to help someone in your life experience a mental health issue and introduce you to free resources in the Bow Valley so you can refer them to appropriate place. So we've got this going down. It looks like February 20th at the Fenlands, the Recreation Center. It's free for all Bow Valley residents. If you know someone that's struggling with mental health or yourself,
Even if
feel
you
free to
don't,
reach out. Yeah.
even if you don't, it's a good resource to have.
Oh, for sure.
More and more of this is becoming a bigger topic of conversation these days,
Oh,
as
exactly.
it does affect a lot of people, not only in the town of Banff, but worldwide. But if you are in the town of Banff and you want to attend a free wellness program funded by Alberta Health Services, follow the link. You can find this on the town of Banff or on the Overheard page as well. Go get them free resources. They're out there. You just got to know where to get them. We're going to try our best to
Yeah,
point
they're
you
there.
guys in the right direction, because why not, right?
It's not
I mean,
always easy out here. You know, you're in the service industry. It's stressful.
definitely.
It's a stressful industry. Anybody that tells you any different is lying big time.
For sure. Or they've
Or-
never done it.
or they have, or they've never done it. But no. So yeah, if you guys feel free, drop by. They'll be there all day.
Great resource from Alberta Health Services and the town of Banff. We got to give them a big shout out for
big
putting
time.
that on.
Big time. Another shout out. Let's
Another
move
big
it
shout
on.
out. More community resources here. We have the Banff Food Rescue. This funny post. They always like to put nice pictures and stuff. This one says Wednesday, January 31st, Wacky Wednesday, when we pull out all the stops, 215 Banff Ave. That's at the lower level of the Sundance Mall. If anyone's ever looking for it, a great resource from the Banff
hell
Food Rescue. It does run by donations only, so make sure you are donating if you are using the services. And if you want to donate, if you're not using the services, I'm sure they would love
for
that
sure.
as well.
It'll go to good use.
I know that I've been, I guess, a customer. I don't know how you would say.
Donate.
I've used
Yeah.
their services in the past, like I mentioned in the interview there when the Tony Roma's Mount Royal incident, when the Mount Royal burnt down. I was a frequent guest at the Banff Food Rescue, and it's a pretty cool concept. What they do is, for those that don't know, is they go to the grocery stores in the area and collect the foods that are going to the dumpsters. So again, they might not be the most perfect veggies, there might not be the most perfect fruits, but if you're using them right away, they are fantastic and ready
dude,
for use.
honestly, I've gotten worse stuff in like those order a meal subscription things.
Oh, 100%.
Big time. Big time.
You want to make a soup or something, you go to the Banff Food Rescue, especially if
it's
you're
great.
cooking that night. Great resource. And there's great people that are running it down there. Big shout out to everyone that puts in their hard work at the Banff Food
Heck yeah.
Rescue, another volunteer organization.
Heck yeah. And you
Um,
wouldn't believe the amount of food that you walk by there. That's just food the perfectly good food that the supermarkets were just going to get rid of.
If it's not in that room, it would be in a dumpster.
It's crazy the amount of food. I've seen
Pretty
them
wild.
unloading out there just to like fill it up. Like when they're doing it, like the amount of food that they carry in there is extraordinary.
And I think from what I gather, they're always looking for volunteers because
Yeah.
it is a lot of work. So if you're looking to volunteer, maybe contact the Banff Food Rescue.
Yeah.
If there's anyone from the Banff Food Rescue listening, please give us a contact. We're
Yeah,
trying to get
reach
someone
out.
in for an interview so we can talk more about the services and the important job that you guys do keeping food out of that dumpster in the town of
Yeah.
Banff.
We'd love to have you on. So reach out if anybody knows any contact.
And if you don't reach out, I will follow up. So you'll be hearing from me.
Oh, we got some gold here to finish off the little meme section. Let's go. This one was great.
Finally, a good meme that we can work with here. A very relatable meme to all of
Oh,
us here
God.
working in the town of Banff, especially if you're in the food service industry. I think this is the nicotine and tobacco combo most associated with cooks and with servers. For those that are listening, the cooks is a Monster Energy drink and a acoustic cigarette, the old school.
I call them analog.
analog
Yeah, I call 'em
cigarettes.
analog.
I like it.
Acoustic. I like that though. It does make a sound.
And the waiter portion is a iced coffee and a vape, of course.
Oh, you gotta have it, dude. It's like an elf stick too, I think.
If you're waiting tables on the acoustic darts, yeah,
Nah,
you're
it's
probably using a lot of cologne or other
Yeah.
kind of stuff to keep you smelling fresh. You know what I mean?
I love the comments too. All 4 purchased with tips given to the waiter. Oh, man.
It is a semiotic relationship with
It
the
is.
front of house and the back of house, especially when you're creeping up to those days before payday.
God,
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
If you've
There's
never
a-
had a free waiter beer, you don't know how good that beer tastes. You're like, oh yeah, server beers, let's go. These are awesome. These things taste great tonight. And it's just Dos Equis or something.
And it means a lot out there. All the servers, don't be shy to get your boys a beer or a dart or whatever it is that they like.
Chuck them an analog once.
Yeah,
in a while.
chuck them an analog. You know what I mean?
Analog, yeah. Get 'em
Go old school a little bit.
No, this is great though. If you guys have anything more like this, like front of house, back house memes are great, especially where we are. It's freaking gold, man.
Yeah,
like,
the memes are kind of running dry on Overheard. It's been a lot of town stuff lately. It's been a lot of politics. It's been a lot of discussion, we'll call it.
Well, I mean, it's great that we're having that. But,
for sure. But let's keep it light also. Let's see some more memes in the Overheard feed. Let's go.
Oh, for sure. Alrighty. Well, I think that's about it for tonight. Is that it?
I think we got one more. Do we have one more?
I think that's it, bro. That's it.
I think that's it for tonight. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We've had a pretty consistent 10 viewers with us all throughout the show tonight. So a big thanks.
Yeah. Shout out to anybody,
everyone that's joined us.
Yeah. Shout out to anybody who popped in the chat, came in, said hello. We'll have to see everybody down at karaoke. It looks like
big shout out to
on.
karaoke. Tell all your friends, tell all your family, give us a like, give us a follow. It means a lot. It does help us grow our audience and grow the feed.
For sure.
That's it from us tonight.
Yeah, well,
like always, Bav.
See you next Tuesday.